Content and trigger warning for this event. There will be knives, blood, and flashing lights.
Welcome to the Studio Boonel Deadstream, our first virtual showcase. We are so excited to share with you what our community has been up to this spooky season. Let me tell you that you're in for a treat. Or trick, depending on what you prefer. So, grab a drink, take your seats, the show is about to begin.
Well, you know where everything is if you change your mind. I, on the other hand, will be indulging in a glass. Or two. God, that restaurant was fantastic, wasn't it? Amazing food and the atmosphere. Oh, that taxi driver was so rude though, don't you think? Really, really gets on my nerves when people are like that, constantly prying into your business. You don't think he knew, did you? Not that I'm like embarrassed about it or anything, obviously. I think I might have been fidgeting quite a bit. Yes, I definitely look guilty. Well, he shouldn't have been sticking his nose in where it wasn't needed. And anyway, I'm sure he's driven people who are doing much worse things than what we're doing. God, I'm really nervous. I know that sounds a bit stupid, but I really am. Because, well, I was talking to a few people who've done this sort of thing before, and they said once you get into it, it's fine. Well, not fine, obviously. It'd be a bit disappointing if you were doing it to spice things up and it was just fine. And apparently, once you get into it, it's fine. But it's just the getting acquainted part that can be a bit awkward. You know I don't do well with awkward silences. He should be here by now. I'm sure he's just running late. Honestly, you have no idea how hard it was to find a guy who was willing to do this, which I thought was really weird. I mean, it's basically no strings attached. You come in, do the dirty work, and then get to remove yourself from the situation. It's everyone else who has to deal with all the mess afterwards. I had a nice time tonight, you know. Seriously. If I'm completely honest, I've kind of been dreading it after that. After that conversation, I was really hurt. And I know right now is probably not the best time to bring it up, but I just wanted to say that I do understand. We are young, and I get that it can feel a bit monotonous and you feel like you're missing out on something, but I'm really, really glad that we're just nipping this problem in the bud. And, you know, it was a hard decision to make because, well, I've never done anything like this before, but I'm sure it'll really liven things up. You'd think that someone who's done this before would kind of know how nervous people are going to get and make an effort to be on time. I mean, I know it's not exactly something you do every day, but at least make the effort to be punctual. Never really thought I'd do anything like this. I always thought of it as a bit of a last resort, I guess. Morally, it just feels a bit... like, how do you even get started with it? I mean, how are you supposed to have a conversation knowing what they're about to do to your partner? Or, if you don't talk and you just get on with it, well, there could be a whole manner of horrible miscommunications. And the cleaning up. The mess is what puts me off the most. I mean, all that fluid. Sorry, I need another drink. I can't do this sober. I'm never going to be able to look at myself the same way again after doing this. And what makes it worse is that I couldn't even solve the problem myself. I had to get some guy in to do it for me. But then again, I suppose I'm not really the problem. I saw those messages, by the way. I wasn't going to bring them up, but I thought I'd clear the air before this happened. Those messages, it felt like I was being stabbed when I read them. The fact that you could go and spread lies about me. And I had such a nice night, I really, really did. But what you said and what you did were just rattling around inside my brain like someone had put a razor blade inside my skull and was just shaking my head. I know what you did. You want excitement, but you want it from someone else. Cool. I get it. So, the only reasonable thing to do is to have a threesome, to get to the root of the problem. The fact that you can't feel the excitement anymore. When, in reality, it's just an excuse for the fact that you can't help but jump into bed with the first person who shows you the slightest bit of attention. You're the fucking problem. Thanks for letting me arrange this. I had a really nice night. I really did.
This next piece is a 3D sculpt of a zombie created by Tahir Mohammed, a student studying his master's in digital games design and theory. This zombie graphic is part of an ongoing video game project Tahir is working on with a few other students in his master's course, but they are open to collaborating with other students on this creative venture to prove the concept with the option of further development. Tahir is interested in creative projects from many different skill sets, including writing, filmmaking, and game development.
The Devil's Lair, written and read by Fatima Badran. The shine on polished chandeliers, the curtains draped, the floorboards waxed. The master's party is prepared. Don't make a mistake, it'll be your last. The seats are numbered and defined, where everyone who is someone. You will be fed, you will have dined, well entertained, amazed and wined. The wicked guests appear in the hall, they all prepared for the master's ball. Warlocks and witches, demons, ghosts, all are waiting for the darkest host. He is in charge of all that's evil, despair, black magic, spells medieval. He is known as Devil, Prince of Hell, the great demon. The name Lucifer might ring a bell. Throughout times, whatever calls, he's always hunting for your soul. His evil army at his bay, do all his biddings night and day. Tricks, lying, and deceit, whatever works, whatever fits. As long as at the end of time, he's got your soul, now he's calling for mine. He'll never stop his horror spells until both our souls are doomed in hell.
Oh, there's a difference between ghosts and having a mental health issue.
Mom, are you here? Mom, you're scaring me. Mom. 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 Mom.
Oh, hi. I'm Ethel, and I'm addicted to collecting cursed pieces of jewelry. My addiction started some 300 years ago. I mean, sure, you could get away with wearing the same old family jewels in 1655, but times have changed for the modern witch.
Why, I just can't keep up with all the pieces I've collected for when you want to be evil and chic. There's, of course, your essentials, your demonic bracelets, your cursed lockets, and, of course, your screaming dragon rings. And then there's my many, many haunted engagement rings from my dead, dear exes. Why, it got to the point where I'd get engaged just to add to my collection. Well, look here. Engagement ring, engagement ring, engagement ring. Oh, no, wedding ring. Didn't call that one off fast enough. Turns out he was immune to arsenic. Who knew? And then this one I got from a demon who lurked in the river Styx. Oh, this one I got from a river serpent in the mountains of Tibet. And then this one I stole from a ghost in a haunted mansion. And then this one I got from a dear vampire friend of mine, covered in blood when I first received it, took forever to clean. And sometimes I can still see the bloodstains on them, even though I've just cleaned it yesterday. But doesn't it just look darling? Oh, and this one I got in a thrift shop, if you can believe it. Then, of course, there's my pearl necklace. Mother said every self-respecting witch needs at least one. I bought mine from this old hag in this remote seaside village in Albania. She was trying to sell them to me, got me to put them on, held up a mirror, all smiles and compliments. I assume I don't speak Albanian. But then, when it came down to paying, I find I've misplaced my wallet. So naturally, I go pick up my wand, and she just starts going ballistic at me, screaming and crying and chasing me out of the shop. But that's just how some of these characters are, all very agreeable when they want to sell you something. But the second something goes wrong, well, it all just goes downhill from there, doesn't it? I ran out the shop, of course, with the pearls still around my neck, and suddenly they start feeling funny. And I look down, and they're burning my skin, and the white pearls have gone blood red, and, well, I know it sounds silly, but now every time I pick it up, it feels like it's gotten heavier. I don't remember them being quite this long. When will it end? I'm beginning to think these aren't pearls. These earrings I actually got from my great-great-great-grandmother. Always wore these bad boys at summer solstice gatherings. I just knew I had to have them. Well worth the wait for them too, because the old hag just wouldn't die. Finally croaked at the ripe old age of 666. Didn't look a day over 500 though. I do have to give her that. Oh, sweet granny. Took me quite a while to dig up her coffin and pry them from her cold, dead, decaying corpse, but they match my necklace, and don't they just look precious? Oh, these crystals. Not quite jewellery, but I do love a good shiny rock. I was at this Halloween event with my coven last year when I saw that Agatha had left a bunch of these lying next to the cauldron, and next thing I knew, my pockets were full to bursting. Then at the end of the soiree, when she asked if any of the other witches had taken her priceless crystal collection containing the souls of her dearly departed, I was just too embarrassed to admit it, so I just went home. I particularly like this one. He says his name's Bartholomew. Oh, now this one. This is a funny story. I was on my centennial pilgrimage to the land beyond the veil of life and death. A chore, I know. Is there anything more boring than having to cross over? Anyway, I saw this funny old man around the side of the road, and he was whispering to himself. He's got this long white beard, and he was carrying this wooden staff. So I hopped off my broom to see what all the fuss was about, and don't you know it, on his pinky he's got the most beautiful ring I've ever seen in my entire life. The second I laid my eyes on it, I knew I had to have it. So generously, I offer to buy it from him, and he just starts going on and on about how it's dangerous and cursed, and no, lady, you can't take it. It'll ruin your life how it did mine. That man was speaking in tongues. He must have been a pagan or something. Anyway, I don't see what all the fuss is about. It looks fine to me. I've got no cause for complaint. My only worry is, I can't quite get it off my finger, and it's gone sort of a funny color. And sometimes, late at night, when I look at it, I feel like it's speaking to me, telling me to do horrible, horrible things. This ring has seen atrocities beyond human comprehension, It's the beginning and end of all things, all that has been and will be. But when it looks this good, who can complain?
So you've decided to murder your parents. You're young, you live with your mum and dad, and you've had enough. Enough of what you ask? That's not important. All you really need to understand is that you are so emotionally worked up that you feel capable of putting an end to the people who gave you life. So, how do we go about murdering your parents? Step 1. You psych yourself up. This is a big deal and you need to get focused. Maybe stretch a little, maybe do a little yoga. It is important to be in a healthy and clear frame of mind when committing parricide. That's Latin for murdering your parents. Yeah, you studied for this before you realised that it was weird that you were studying for it. Step 3, you work out a method. You only seem to have blunt objects at your disposal, but that's alright. There's something beautifully ironic about your father being beaten to death with his own golf club. You decide to go with that. Step 4, you celebrate. You did it! You murdered people! Even if it was a little more difficult than television makes it out to be, you still managed to do it. And it's like your therapist always said, it's important to celebrate the little things. It's called self-care. Step 5, you have a little sit down. Yeah, the actual killing part actually took a lot longer than you thought it was going to. There was a lot of dodging and running about. At one point you could have sworn you heard your old PE coach Mrs. Jensen screaming, "Lift your knees," as you chased your parents around the bedroom. Which, if I'm being honest, added a layer of stress the situation really didn't need. Step 6. You transport the bodies. So you need to get to the bodies downstairs to bury them in the garden, but you have grossly overestimated how strong you are. It takes you 5 minutes to realise that you can't carry the bodies, and 15 whole minutes to actually drag them to the top of the stairs. God, you're unfit. Maybe Mrs. Jensen was right. How are you going to get the bodies downstairs? Step 7. You get creative. You find a perfect way to get your parents downstairs by turning them on their side and rolling their limp bodies down the steps. This takes a very long time because their limbs keep getting stuck in the banisters. It is rather undignified. But then again, murdering them was undignified too, so what can you do really? Step 8. You make your parents lighter. You have finally got them downstairs, but you still need to drag them to the garden, and you start to figure that they'd be a lot lighter if there was less of them, right? And then you remember your mum's hacksaw in the shed, and you get an idea. Step 9. You get your parents into bits. You don't want to think about how, or how long it took, or how long it's going to take to get that stain out of the carpet. God, that stain. That deep, sticky. Do you even considered pouring more blood onto the carpet just to make the whole thing red and make the stain go away altogether? But then you started crying and you had to stop. Step 10. You marvel at just how much of your parents there is. They won't fit in the holes that you've dug outside, and they never seemed that big or inconvenient when they were alive and moving around, but now you're running out of places to hide the limbs. You've got 3 hands down the back of the dresser and 2 torsos under the couch cushions already, but there's still so much. God, there is still so much of your parents. How is this happening? Did they multiply since dying? Have you done this? Did you accidentally kill someone else and just not realise it? How would you even do that? How? Okay, calm down, focus. What you need is for there to be less pieces of your parents, or less solid pieces at least. And then you see the blender in the kitchen and you have another idea. Step 11. You wish for hindsight. Particularly in that if you're going to blend pieces of your parents, You put the lid on the blender first. Cleaning up this mess will be, well, you see, whenever you wipe up a bit from the floor, a bit from the ceiling drips down and makes it all gooey again. And even the stuff on the floor isn't really wiping up. I mean, you scoured your entire kitchen for the best thing, and all you could really find was bleach, and even Dettol's 99.9% germ-busting technology just isn't quite cutting through your late mother's face. Step 12. You sit down and have a little think. Maybe murdering them was a bit of an overreaction. Maybe moving out was the more reasonable option. It's too late now, and your head hurts, and your arms hurt, and there's this smell that's seeping in throughout the entire house, and what you wouldn't give to just go back to this morning, and instead of picking up a golf club to bludgeon your parents with, you opened your laptop and spent the morning writing angry supernatural /fic on Wattpad instead. But no, you had to do murder, didn't you? You always have to take things a step too far. This is just what your therapist would have said if she was alive. Step 13. You call the police on yourself. When they pick up and ask what's the emergency, you start sobbing and say that there's bits of dad in your hair and you can't get it out. You tell them that it's all got a bit much, that the yoga just isn't quite calming you down, you've ruined a perfectly good golf club and your mum's face is on the ceiling. They say they're on their way. It's probably for the best. You probably weren't cut out to be a murderer anyway.
Okay then, guys. I think that's going to be everyone. Yep. To those who just joined, I was saying that this seminar would typically start at 3 on the dot, but because this is the first one, I gave like 5-minute leeway, just in case there are any issues with people signing in and such. And okay, that's fine. I see some of you nodding. Yeah, you did have trouble with the password. Remember, it's always going to be sent in the email with the Zoom link. And yeah. Could everyone access the lecture and the readings? Okay. Sorry, can someone let me know that? Oh, right, I see it's in the chat. About that, it's going to be pretty informal today. So I'm fine with most of you having your mics and cameras off, but next week I expect, because it's kind of weird for me, not to have any. Right, so more in the chat. Okay, yep, you could access them. Good, nice. I get that you don't probably, that you're not looking your best at this time in the morning, and it's probably because it is your first 3 a.m. lecture, especially if you haven't taken a death magic class before. But these aren't the times of the course, guys, especially this module. And as you'll have seen in the readings, 3 to 4 in the morning, kind of crucial. You'll get used to it. You really have to. And showing yourself to other people at these times is really just, it's ripping the plaster or the band-aid off, as it was. And I know most of you would be up at this time anyway, so and okay then. So welcome to third year necromancy, and congratulations for getting this far in the course. I know everything in death magic in level 4 and 5 is kind of dry and fully written based, but it's really important that you get the groundwork done before you get to the practical stage, because I know what other departments say, but it is a science, and we need to make sure we have all the groundwork down. So yeah, just circling back to the lecture, I know we explained the origins in the lecture. You got that, yeah, and sort of explained what you'll be doing over the course of the year and the assessment deadlines. So if you've got any questions about that, now's not the time, but shoot me an email. This is going to be a really relaxed seminar. It's not going to be recorded, so feel free to ask anything, really. So you'll have noticed that the lecture finished in the middle of a discussion of ethics. That is because, well, that is technically last year's lecture, and although everything you saw is pretty much exactly the same, the department has asked me to conduct the introduction of ethics as a seminar this year. I know, yeah, I know some of you are thinking this part's pretty boring, but last year we got some pretty hefty complaints from the other departments. A couple of complaints from Hillingdon Council, and a light warning from the Metropolitan Police. So yeah, yeah, I can see that some of you are nodding. I'm sure you saw it all on Twitter, or or maybe caught the debate in the House of Lords, or yeah, some of you read that open letter from The Hague. And that was that was only our first year of running the module. So this year, everyone stressed to me particularly, quite aggressively, that they wanted to go and make sure that everything was above board. So it decided to be best to discuss this sort of tricky stuff in person, talk it out. So you'll remember that in the lecture we left off at choosing the right subject, or the right deceased, as it were. From here on out, I'm going to discuss whoever you choose. If you use the term deceased, corpse, reanimated, whatever, I'm going to call them your subject, because, it's a science, still a science. But basically, I want to make the point that this is the most crucial part of the course. And funnily enough, where we run into the most trouble, legally, as you'll have seen, but also morally. So let's get down to it. And as we go, just pop your questions in the chat, and I'll try and answer immediately. So, starting off, pretty easy one. I feel like I don't actually have to say this, guys, but no one famous. If I see one more thesis proposal about digging up Stanley Kubrick and renting him to the film students at an hourly rate, I might have a heart attack myself. I get the idea. Thank you, guys, but the school of thought on this really is that a celebrity has given their whole life to the public, so the least we can do is let them have their death. Leading on from that, you need to choose someone who is somewhat recently deceased, for what should be obvious reasons. As you'll have seen in the reading, the best test to use is Dion Fuller's grandmother test from 1923, and that's if the body is decomposed to the point that their own grandmother wouldn't be able to recognise them, they have been dead for far too long for a pleasant raising procedure and would cause the highest discomfort to the necromancer. That's you. And if I'm honest about this, guys, I'm going to say no more than 13 months on this one. Usually, most years I'd be a little bit more lenient because we'd be in the lab. Sorry. Yep. See, some of you in the chat are calling the lab the dungeon. Yeah, nice to know that joke has already passed down from the last group of third years. Anyway, this year, as you know, you're working from home due to the circumstances, so it is really to save you and whoever you live with from the absolute stench of. Yes, sorry, there's a question in the chat. What happens if you have a deeply religious family who calls this course the work of the devil? And yeah, okay, got it. There will be extenuating circumstances. I got your email earlier today, Sarah, and I am guessing that lab time cleared for you. Same for anyone else. Shoot me an email, and I can try and get you some lab time. Okay, guys. Yeah, you've made the dungeon joke before. You really are. You've done that one to death, and now you're writing about resurrecting the joke. Yeah. Okay, yeah, I'll give it to you. I did walk into that one. Okay, just circling back. This is very important. Whatever you've heard, you do need written permission from the graveyard, I mean, if you're going the old-fashioned way, or the morgue. The forms are all on Blackboard. Just fill them in, send them off, easy peasy. I can help you if you obviously shoot me an email about it. Because if you don't do that, that's still legally body snatching. On that, I really, really recommend you all intimately acquaint yourselves with the 1984 Anatomy Act. It's really going to be a saving grace, guys, because you're going to have to, learn it off by heart. Flashcards, post it, tattoo it on the inside of your eyelids if you have to, because I actually won't be able to stick up for you, because the Chief Commissioner has personally informed me that I won't get out of that situation again. So, yeah, lovely woman. Very sure. Sorry, can you, 1 second. Okay. Okay, lots of questions in the chat. Yeah, I know I was giving you the basics, but I can see lots of you now asking who can we pick. Well, Tom, that's quite a hostile way of asking. Don't really have to swear, I think. I think we can all see how frustrated you are by that rather gratuitous use of caps locks there. Okay, so really your best shout is someone who you're close to before their death. You're going to have a better claim on the body. You're going to know the person because, close friends have informed me that being brought back from the dead is a rather scary and disorientating experience. Well, they didn't tell me per se, but I could see that. It's better that they see a familiar face. Sorry. Can you just give me 1 second? Sorry, what was I talking about? Close. Yeah. Your close friends, people that you know, and that really helps because common sense plays a huge factor in this one. If they're religious and they really cling to the concept of passing on to a better place, they, from first-hand experience, are not going to appreciate being woken from their divine rest to be shot back into the primordial pit, as they say. Someone in the chat saying, oh, yeah, really good point. I don't know if you all read that, but a family member is the perfect choice. And that's all, one of the upsides to what's going on right now. Usually there's at least like a 5-year gap between them shuffling off this mortal coil, but really they are dropping like flies right now. And wow, lots of questions in the chat. I'm seeing the word inappropriate a lot. I'm seeing the word tone deaf a lot, and Tom, I get it, but do we really have to use, that word? Sorry, I think I glitched out for a second there. I do see where you're coming from that. So sorry, can I just have 1 moment? I think it's technical issues. It's Sorry. Yeah, I think I did glitch out. I think that was a technical issue. Sorry, what were we talking about? Tom making an inappropriate comment. Yeah. So talking of inappropriate, I realise I haven't touched on this particular choice. And I'd call it pretty crucial. Out of everyone that you choose, that you don't choose a deceased, for want of a better word, a deceased lover. Is actually one of the worst choices that you can make. There's really no sort of yes, Manuel, I see your suggestion of resurrecting Margaret Thatcher so you can kill her again. You know what I have to say to that in your own time. I can either verbally condemn or support that on university time. Sorry, what's my head is. Yeah, don't choose an ex-lover. So part of your reading, which I hope you all did, was Robin Miller's journal article, Frankenstein and His Man-Child. Yeah, so this, just in case you didn't read it, I'm really going to put it home to you. This is incredibly important. You are responsible for your subject after you've brought them back. Yes, the UD takes a level of responsibility, they tell me. A level, they take a certain responsibility. They look into a certain amount. There is a moral and practical contract between you and your subject, especially if this is the first time that you've brought someone back. Things might go wrong. You are their parent, their teacher, and essentially and I hate to use this word, but essentially their master, because legally they are not a human anymore. And I think as scientists, that any sort of amorous relationship is in deep violation of where you. Well, it's a deep violation of them because I know that this is a relatively new course, but please listen to me on that because the uni it basically says. Sorry, can I just have? I'm sure it's central to you. Can I just have 1 moment? Sorry about this. What do you think you're doing? Sorry, where was I? If this statement makes you drop out of the course, I think more power to you for sticking to your morals. But university does not take responsibility for rehoming, moving, or disposing of your subjects after you've raised them, no matter how badly it might go. They are yours to deal with. And I think that's it for today's lecture. Just shoot me an email. If you have any questions, and I'll see you guys.
Hi, my name is Ulva Marie, and this is a poem that I wrote. So yeah. Waking up knowing I can only speak when being asked to feels strange. Having to put on my white voice when posing for a job feels questionable. When was I last whitewashed? I can't recall. Maybe it's because it has become a part of my everyday lifestyle. I eat, drink, watch everything that has been consumed by Leblanc. Have we reached that period to be questioning it or not? Have we simply reached the destination when it will always last forever? Which one's which? Not sure. But today, I open up my eyes being woke. I smile looking at the glow of my melanin. I pass by next to La Blanche, my head high with confidence. I close my eyes without fear of a white shadow hunting me down. I simply walk straight ahead with my afro sparkling through the white shades. I know I can have a spot on the bus next to Rosa Parks and her natural black boldness. Une négresse distortion in society. Thank you for listening.
Happy Halloween, and thank you so much for coming and seeing our first Halloween showcase. For behind the scenes, or if you just want to know more about what we do, check out our social media at studio_Boonel. That's on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram. Finally, what we have coming up for the next couple months. So for November, we have the Why I Am Tired documentary, which will be filming on the 4th, 6th, 7th, and the 11th, 13th and 14th of November. If you want to get involved or be part of the documentary, check out our social media. And for Christmas, we have a Christmas showcase that will be coming out in late December. We are so hopeful that all of you will want to get involved. Thank you so much for coming to our showcase, and happy Halloween.